We are going to get started here so we can stay on time. I want to thank you. There's a lot of people coming through, so there's a good line. So we're going to just start now because it will probably take a while for them to get in. So my name is Josh Wynn. I'm the program coordinator for Buckeye Wellness. I want to thank you all for coming out today. This is a great presentation, a much-needed presentation during this time. So before we get started, just several upcoming events from our office. We have the Farmers Market on September 13th from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. over at, in the Rhodes Plaza. If you weren't able to make the Ackerman Farmers Market, it does get busy, so I would plan to get there kind of early around that 10 a.m. time slot. If you have any questions, you can visit go.osu.edu/farmersmarket2019. Now, we have our Fall Amazing Race on October 11th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. In the South Oval. So if you have any questions or would like to register your team of 4, you can visit go.osu.edu/amazingrace. I didn't put this on the slide, but Hit the Road with the Buckeyes. This is its 10th year, so there's a lot of great prizes coming out. So if you visit yp4h.osu.edu, you can learn more about that information. Additionally, we have several slots for our biometric screenings. So Dixie is outside taking some reservations. If you have not done your biometric screening yet, this is a good time to get your points in for sure. So get that done as well. We'll have about 10 to 15 minutes after the presentation for questions and answering. If you're tuning in through the webinar, please email me, winn.50@osu.edu, and I will get your questions answered. Today's Lunch and Learn is titled Making the Most of Your Paycheck. Our presenter is Victor Russell. He's a Regional Operations Manager for the Northern Ohio for Consumer Credit Counseling Service and a speaker for Prison. Victor is also a certified financial counselor with the National Foundation of Credit Counseling. Please help me welcome Victor.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm with an organization known as Prison, but we were formerly known as Consumer Credit Counseling Service. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of them before. Nonprofit agency, been around since 1955. We partner with Impact Solutions. We're one of the service providers. And we actually help individuals with credit and debt issues, help them get their credit management back on track. We help people save their homes from foreclosure, help with rental evictions, help people, really help them with financial stability. We also help with student loans now. Individuals are struggling with student loans. We help them try to get back on track with those. And we also help with comprehensive financial management. So I've been with the agency now 18 years. And previous to that, I spent 17 years in mortgage lending and consumer lending. So I was a district manager for a financial institution. So it's really interesting because I was on the profit side of the fence. Now I'm on the nonprofit side of the fence. So I have my expertise that I can provide individuals, letting them know what lenders look for from a lender's perspective, but also let them know, what they may expect if they are struggling with their debts and what options may be available to them. The topic we have today is making the most of your income or making the most of your paycheck. I have some very interesting stats that I did some research on, and a couple of them opened my eyes. Right now, outstanding mortgage balances, that's the amount that people owe on their homes, okay, is at $9.5 trillion, which is higher than the level we were at in 2007 before the Great Recession. 45% of mortgages completed in the second quarter, according to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, were refinances. People taking advantage of lower interest rates, getting better terms, but a lot of those folks took money out of their home, didn't do home improvements, didn't pay off debt, but just took the money and spent it. Not a good sign. We're also back up around $1 trillion in credit card debt again. And it's the same level we were at, once again, 2006, before the Great Recession hit. So individuals are borrowing more money using credit, but they're carrying balances on their credit cards again now and making minimum payments, really not getting anywhere with their credit card debt. Student loans, I think everybody's heard these statistics, $1.5 trillion owed in student loans in this country. It's become a little bit of a, it's become a lot of it of a detriment to individuals with personal financial management, inhibits their ability to maybe purchase a home, move forward in their lives. And, of course, it's nice to have repayment options on the federal student loans, but if you get stuck in those private loans, you have to abide by the terms of those contracts. There really are no repayment options for those. So, interesting statistics as we begin this discussion, and the reason why it's more important now that, right now, more than ever, that you do manage your personal finances to make sure that those debt levels aren't getting higher and make sure that you are saving for whatever financial goal you have. So, without further ado, let's talk about what we're going to cover. First of all, we're going to talk about something called a money personality. All right? Anybody tell me what you think a money personality is? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Spender or a saver. Impulse buyer. Yep. Anybody else? You're not speaking from experience. I know. You're just throwing those out there, right? All right. So, yeah, those are money personalities. Now, we had to learn them somewhere, right? So we're kind of going to explore that a little bit because a lot of us have learned money management through the school of hard knocks. Okay? A lot of them have learned it from our parents. My father never financed an automobile. Every 6 years, he saved up enough money to buy a new, I call a new used car. Okay? So we drove around in our new used car every 6 years, and he would just pay cash for it. All right? And I kind of have that same type of mentality that he had. Okay? Paying cash for things, kind of wait until I have that money saved up to pay cash for it. Except for my house, of course. I'm not going to wait and save up $150,000. I'm going to get that house now because I need it now, right? Okay? Then we're going to talk about elements of a spending plan. Your money personality plays into this, but what really plays in the elements of a spending plan is what your financial goal is and what you're doing to get there. I don't know if you've ever heard this saying called goals or dreams with deadlines. Okay? If you don't put deadlines to something and start working towards achieving it, it stays a what? A dream. Right? So in order for you to get started on that, you've got to set deadlines to meet that specific goal, or it remains a dream. Then we're going to talk about the importance of saving money. Okay? So here's the line I always hear when I'm on my counseling sessions, okay? Talking to individuals. I said, well, how's your savings program going? What do I hear? I hear it's not. But here's the phrase I always hear. If I had it, I'd save it. Okay? My response, you have it, let's find it. Okay? Anybody ever hear of the top 10 money drains? Bankrate.com came out with these about 2 years ago. Little things people spend their money on all the time that if you add it up over a period of time becomes hundreds and thousands of dollars sometimes in a year. Somebody said Starbucks. That is number one on the list by far. Coffee out is number one on the list by far. So let's do the math on that because we have a Dunkin' Donuts, okay, where our office is at. And every morning I go by that Dunkin' Donuts and the cars are lined up around the window out to the street. And I know those folks aren't buying the small coffee, which is $1.34. All right? They're buying probably the latte, whatever's going on that day, caramel, pumpkin spice, right, is in, right, because it's fall again. Okay, yeah, see, we know, right? Pumpkin spice. So let's say that costs $5. You do that 5 days a week. $25 a week. How much a month? $100, right? 4 times 25. How much a year? Uh-oh. $1,200 a year? Wow. Now we're talking some real money, right? Okay? What do you think number 2 on that list was? Anybody? Fast food was number 6. Take-out lunches. Yeah, and that type of thing. That was my biggie, by the way. I cut that out, feel a lot better, tuna fish and an apple. Okay? And I got more money going towards my financial goal of retirement. Made a big difference. Okay, so that's number 6. Cigarettes is actually number 2. Okay? Number 3 sometimes goes with the cigarettes. Alcohol, that is correct. Okay? Number 4, you may find this one a little bit, you might not get it. You might not be thinking along these lines. Bottled water, yes. Whoever said that as you were taking a drink of water? Bottled water, yeah, is number 4 on that list. If you think about it, bottled water here and there, $1 a day, $365 a year. See how that all adds up? Okay. Number 5, beauty shop expense. I'm not even going to go there. Right? Number 6 on that list, we talked about takeout lunches. Number 7, vending machine snacks. That includes pop coming out of a machine or soda, whatever the case may be. Number 8, interest on credit cards. You make the minimum payment, $2,000 credit card balance. It's 17.9% interest. You make just the minimum payment, just trying to pay it off, don't use it again, 20 to 25-year repayment period. On $2,000. Okay? All that interest that you pay. Because as your balance comes down on a credit card, what does the payment do? It comes down too, the minimum payment. So you still have a lot of your money going towards interest, right? So that's why it's so expensive to carry a credit card balance and make just the minimum payments. It takes a long time. Number 9, car washes. Number 10, unused gym memberships. So those are your top 10 money drains. Now, you may think to yourself, I don't have any of those. Okay, I have friends that want me to go golf 5 days a week. All right, now that I'm an empty nester. I was just talking to Josh. I said, yep, got this big house, walking up these steps all the time, 3 stories, kind of sick of it. So my wife and I are looking to downsize now. Okay? But my buddies want me to go golf 5 nights a week. You know what I tell them? One day. My night was last night. I had 3 good holes, 3 medium holes, and 3 bad holes. I'm never going to get any better. But these guys want to continue to go out and play 5 days a week. You know how expensive golf is? It's expensive. Okay? My money's better served going towards retirement. It's my financial goal. Okay? So something to think about when we talk about savings. And then what to do when things don't balance. Uh-oh, I got a lot going out, and it's taking up everything I got that's coming in. Where am I making adjustments? You might have to come out of your comfort zone with that. And a lot of that's going to do with your money personality. All right, so let's take this little test, little icebreaker, okay? Get you thinking about money personalities. So there was a study done, I believe it was at Georgetown University, talked about money personalities and like shapes and numbers to people's money personalities. Now, the first time this came out, my wife and I took it. I took it right to her. I said, you got to take this with me. We got to do this together. She goes, okay, fine, we'll do it. So I want you to take a look at this screen and pick a shape without even thinking. Just looking at it and say, boy, I like that shape the best. Subconscious. Let your subconscious work, okay? And then keep in mind what that shape is. Everybody got their shape? All right? Let's see what they are. According to the study, a rectangle, if you picked a rectangle, is somebody who is structured and organized. They squeeze a penny till it bleeds. All right? Some people will call a rectangle cheap. I am a rectangle. Okay? But the problem with rectangles are they can be unrealistic about expenses. Guilty. Okay? So we had a birthday party we were putting together for our 2-year-old, long time ago. 32 in-laws coming over. My family was like maybe 7 the most. 32, my wife's side. Okay? So I'm planning this birthday party. You know, we're kind of thin on money. So I told my wife, we could do this birthday party for $140. Yep, that's what she did. She laughed. Shook her head. It said, are you kidding me? Do you want to be invited for the holidays to my family? There's no way we could pull off a party for $140 with almost 40 people coming over. What are you going to do? 1 slice of pizza, sliver of cake, you're out the door, right? Okay, that's what I'm thinking. The cheap rectangle. Okay? $380 later, we got a nice party. Okay, but we had to take some money from here, from savings, to make this party work. We didn't plan for it right. Okay? An unexpected expense that we didn't plan for. So we had to reimburse the savings account, stay on track. But the rectangle can be unrealistic. What do you think is the one expense when people come into our offices that they never have any idea how much they're spending on? Yeah, it is. It's groceries. Very good. Yeah. So, you know, I had a couple that they had 2 kids, and we were talking about their finances. They were having a real difficult time making ends meet. Had good income, okay? Went to an online cash advance place, because they thought, they needed to. So we start doing a little digging. So I ask about groceries. They look at each other. They look at the floor. They look at the ceiling. They kind of hem-haw a little bit. Finally, the wife says, we probably spend about $70 a week. Family of 4. Okay, that's unrealistic. Okay? The national average is $200 per person per month. Average. So that means a lot of people are spending more than that, and some are lower. I did tell my wife I could live on $100 a month in groceries. I did it for 2 months. She said, okay, you proved me wrong. It's exactly what it was. A lot of leftover pasta, okay, some soups, gallon of milk. She likes that organic milk, by the way. Happy cows, happy milk. You know how much that is, a half gallon, right? About $5. Okay? She loves that stuff. So my trade-off is I get a gallon of the sad cow milk. And make it last. Okay? All right? But she didn't believe me. I said, I could do it. I could do $100. I did it for 2 months. It was difficult, but I did it. Okay? But the national average is $200. So this woman is telling me that her family of 4 is living on $280 a month in groceries. That includes the toilet paper, toothpaste, everything that else goes with that, all right? That's exactly right. It's unrealistic. But what is the problem with that? What's the problem with that? Yeah, there's no planning, so you keep spending more on groceries thinking you're spending $70 a week, and you're taking it from somewhere else to do it. And all that's going out of whack too, right? Because as you said, no planning. So you really got to have a plan in place for things like controllable expenses, groceries. Set a cap to it, because that's where it all starts. You've got to manage that process. Okay, we have a presentation called Budget Bites, where we talk about how to budget for food. Some of the online apps are fantastic that you can use for that. Now, I don't know if a lot of you use those, but my wife does that religiously. And of course, we're the coupons, and she goes online and gets coupons. We go to 3 different stores to do grocery shopping. We go to her organic place, because you get all of her organic food, okay? And then we go to my, bad, sad life, the food that's processed or whatever, okay? But we have a happy medium where we put a cap on that spending for groceries. All right, circle. Lover, giver. I don't like the word sucker, okay? Relative comes, hey, I'm short $50, I need some help. Boom, you got it. I'm sure you'll pay me back next month. You ever get paid back? Probably not. And that same relative comes back to you and asks for more money. What that's doing is it's putting your personal financial management, in jeopardy. Okay? You have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. Right? Okay? So you really have to identify that if that's a problem, and you're going to have to make some changes. All right? My wife picked squiggly line. I picked rectangle when we first did this. It was spot on. I would not say she's necessarily unorganized, but if she sees something, she gets it. Okay? Somebody mentioned impulse buying earlier. You get it now, and you worry about it later. Okay? And, you can manage that process, and it takes some time to do that. Can you overbuy sales? Oh, most definitely you can. She comes home with the 5 bags of the same stuff, and I said, do we really need all this? We're going to need it. Sits up in the second bedroom for a year in bags. Regift it. We send it out, the Christmas gifts. All right? But yes, you have to watch that, because obviously that's going to throw your whole situation into turmoil. That's got to be controlled. She does love to shop. Here's what we do. We don't have a joint account. We're never going to have a joint account, ever. Okay? We're comfortable Been married 30 years this year. She has her money. I have mine. I let her know what I'm doing with mine. I'm paying all the utilities. I pay the car payment. I pay all those things that need to be taken care of. In fact, I'm paying the car payment to get it paid off early because I squeeze a penny to bleed, right? Okay, that's the rectangle in me. I want that debt paid off early, okay? I take care of all those things that we need to. She takes care of birthdays, cell phone bill, those things that are kind of niceties, all right? And we split the groceries, okay? But I could never have a joint account with her. She brings in 3 receipts every day and says, I got to pick up this stuff. That would blow my mind. Okay? I'm still writing checks, folks. And I still put them in an envelope, and I still send them to the electric company, all right? I'm the only person keeping the U.S. Postal Service in business. She does everything online. Everything. Loves Amazon. Okay? But it ain't getting to my checking account to pay the Amazon bill. That comes out of yours. You let me know what we're getting and why, and we can make it work. But we'll never have a joint account. Wouldn't work for us. Just wouldn't work for us. Triangle, risk taker. Maybe plays the lottery a little bit too much. Looking for the big payout. Okay? Maybe makes a bad investment, thinking they'll get a big return. Spends a little bit too much money, looking for the big payout. Okay, and then the last one, square is the procrastinator. This is the person that hears a little tick in the engine in the car. It's okay. Car's still running okay. Month goes by, tick gets a little louder. I'm still good. I'll take care of it next pay period. 2 months later, the engine blows. Big problem. It was a small problem. If you would have taken care of it, you wouldn't have spent as much money, right? But because you procrastinated, then it became a big problem. You spent more money. So it's just to get you thinking about what your money personality is. You have to identify that in order to move forward. Okay? So this just gives you a little food for thought. So you can be a combination of these, of course. My wife is a circle and a squiggly, whatever that looks like. All right? Because, my daughters come to me for money. I said, well, did you budget for it correctly? Here, let me show you how to budget for it, and I'll sit down with them. And, here's mint.com. It's a great tool to use. You can use this. It'll help you budget your money more effectively. My wife, here's your $50, and we'll take care of it. I believe in you got to show them the skills so they don't have those issues going forward. Okay? She will take care of it. All right? So, money personalities. So, the one you picked, was it close or no? Really? Okay. Yeah, ours were spot on. It was kind of frightening. Okay? We joked about it for weeks. She was calling me rectangle. I guess I'd rather be a rectangle than a square, right? In this case. And, I said, okay, squiggly. And I said, I'd call her squiggly for a couple weeks. All right. So, got our money personalities. We've identified it. So, let's talk about our spending plan. I'm sorry if I continue to be in your way. Okay? So, what is your personal spending plan? How do you feel when you're in control of things? Confident? Ready to take on the day? Feel good about yourself? How do you feel when you're out of control? Anxious? Stressful? Make emotional decisions sometimes that probably weren't good decisions. Okay? Spending plan keeps you in check. Takes the stress out of your life, keeps you in control. Now, what's the problem with the spending plan? Yep, that's one. Have to be realistic, right? Not like me. I'm sorry? Exactly right. Doesn't account for emergencies because they do come up, right? So what's the tool that we can use to take care of those emergencies so they don't throw us into chaos? Savings. That's correct. So how much do experts say you should save of your income a month? That's living expenses. Yeah, you're right. 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses is what you should have saved up, okay? Because the average to find a new job now is 90 to 120 days, so 3 months, okay? But what percent of your income do they say you should save? It's 10. 15 is great. 10% is the standard. Okay, I can tell you when I moved from the profit world to the nonprofit world, I wasn't saving 10% because nonprofits don't pay too much, all right? But it was a decision I made, and of course Quigley agreed with me. She goes, yeah, if you're going to do it now. We're in good shape. Let's do it. So I made the decision to change to a more fulfilling type of position, but it was much less pay. And we did without a lot of things, and I worked 2 jobs for 5 years. By the way, that's no day at the park, working 2 jobs. Those of you that have done it, you know. Right? You come home, you eat, sleep, go back to work, right? Okay, so I did that for 5 years. My kids were watching Seventh Heaven episodes, thinking it was like a sitcom that's on today. You know, that was like 20 years old, okay, on ABC Family or whatever the heck that was. Because we had basic cable. No ESPN for 5 years. Killer. But you know what? You learn to live without those things, and then on the other side, you become what? Much better for that. Okay, it's a learning experience. But to go through that is difficult. And you have to take a self-assessment and take a look at every expense that you have and make it negotiable. What do I mean by that? Yeah, figure out what you need and what you don't, right? Needs and wants, correct? I want a brand new Mustang. I drive a 2003 Volkswagen Passat. I hate that car. I'm sorry. If you're a Volkswagen owner, you love your car, great. I don't. Maintenance costs on those are way too much. Okay, the oil changes are like $82 every time you get the oil changed. And timing belt changes are $750. So regular maintenance on those cars is a lot. German engineering. Okay? But no car payment, right? And car insurance, low. So I'm driving that car for a while because I'm putting my money towards my financial goal, retirement. Okay? Trade-off, right? Needs and wants. Okay? All right, so let's get into our spending plan. First of all, you got to work on this kind of like you work on other things in your life, all right? Josh and I were talking about the football game this weekend, okay? So you plan on going to the football game. You plan on going to the Ohio State game, okay? You need to probably plan on doing taking a look at your personal financial management. Don't do it on a Friday. Don't do it on a Saturday. Don't even do it on a Sunday. Wednesday, Thursday, good days to do it, okay? If you don't have a routine in place right now. So get your worksheets, computer programs. I just mentioned mint.com as a personal financial management site that some people like to use, okay? Apprising.com's got some tools that you can use as well to help you kind of take a look at your expenses. But when I say make every expense negotiable, take a look at where you can make cuts. Now, there's expenses you can't make cuts on, right? What are those? Like medical expense, like medical insurance, that type of thing, okay? Anything else? Rent, right? Hey, Joe, I'm kind of short on money this month. I'm going to pay you $100. No, you're not, because you signed a lease for $800 a month, and that's what the agreement is. If you can't make that payment, then you can't live here, right? So that's a fixed expense. You know that you have to pay that. You have to keep the roof over your head. We also call it a priority expense. Same thing with your mortgage payment, right? What else is a fixed expense? Stays the same. Utilities, pretty much the same. If you're going to budget billing with your utility companies, if you're having a real tough time budgeting, that's a nice way to kind of streamline your budget because you know that amount that you pay, it covers your utility every month. Okay? All you need to do is call the utility company and ask for that. I do that in the winter. Every winter I do that. I'll call them in November and say I need budget billing for my gas bill. And then I discontinue it in May. So I get to pay the $35 a month in the summer, but I'm not paying the astronomical amounts if the winter is really cold, right? Okay, it helps me save my money for my financial goal of, I know I've asked you 100 times, retirement. That's my financial goal. I'm sure you could recite me your financial goal too, right? Like that. Okay, if I was to ask you. It's probably different than mine. Maybe not different. Okay, so create a process, find a time, involve all the family members. We involved our daughters from day one in this process. You know how kids are. I want. Well, here's the story. We can't get you that. You can go play with it over at your neighbor's house, but we can't get this for you because we're in no financial shape to do that. But here's what we can do, okay? My family vacations every summer, Lake Erie. As long as the kid's got a body of water, doesn't matter, right? Lake Erie was a lot cleaner back then, too. But, we went there every year, but it was like our vacation. We didn't go to Disneyland. We didn't go to Disney World. We didn't go to the Outer Banks. We took a 90-minute trip up to the lake, and that's where we stayed for a week in a cottage, hot cottage. But there was an amusement park, and there was a beach. So my parents didn't spend too much on vacations. Very frugal. All right. There's some other budgeting tools. These are kind of older, and I'll throw them out there. Envelope system, where you actually have one envelope marked for each bill that you have every month, and you put your money in there, and you pay it. Budget box system is basically the same idea, only use dividers in a file. So these are your elements of a spending plan. It all starts with your financial goal, what you want to achieve. What was the line I told you? Goals are dreams with deadlines, right? So set your financial goal. What is it? I'd like to have my house paid off in 15 years. I'd like to retire at age 55. What's it going to take for you to get there? All right? I would like to have my student loan debt paid off in 9 years. Okay? So I'm going to put a little extra towards my student loan debt. Whatever it is, whatever your financial goal is, that has to be your priority. And that's got to be your focus. So, income. Take a look at your income situation. Is there anything you can do with your income? Can you maybe cut back on 401k, deductions so you can concentrate on your 23% credit card debt? People always ask me that question. Which one should I do? And I said, well, ideally, do them both at the same time. But if you just don't have the funds and you really want to get that debt paid off in less than 20 years, as we talked about, then you're probably going to have to take it from somewhere in order to really concentrate on that high interest debt and get it paid off. Okay? Then you track your expenses. Everybody use debit cards? Everybody get a debit card statement? Do you take a hard look at that? Look at that debit card statement, because I will guarantee you there are leaks in there, okay, that you'll identify right away. They'll jump out at you, okay, if that's what you use. I told you I use my checkbook, right? Chuckle, chuckle, chuckle. Bookkeeper, I write down everything that I pay right in my ledger. And then if I write a check, it's gone. I don't call the bank 2 days later to see if the check's cleared, to see what my balance is. I don't know how people live like that. I just don't know. I write it, it's gone. It's out of my account. Okay? So find a tracking mechanism that you can use. Some people, once again, track their expenses on an app on a phone. There's a lot of apps that are out there that you can do that on. Okay? Do it for 30 days. See where your money's going. See where it's going. We talked about the top 10 money drains, right? Maybe I could take a few less trips to the coffee shop. I cut out lunches out. That's what I got rid of. Okay? Among other things. Golfing 1 day a week. Other things that I've done that have put us in a better financial position. And then you take a look at your fixed expenses, as we talked about. Variable expenses that go up and down. They got gasoline on there. That's only because the cost of gasoline. By the way, $2.24 a gallon to $2.79 a gallon in a day. I don't get that. We have no control over that, right? We could only control what we could control. But that's insane. Yeah, holiday. Somebody mentioned the holiday travel. And then periodic expenses, things that don't come up every month. Okay, but you have to save money for it, so it's not a big surprise, right? I've owned my house now for 8 years, so I save money up for the property taxes that come every 6 months. Okay? So I make sure that I budget for that, so I don't get a big whopping bill to pay every 6 months. The money's there. It's taken care of. All right? And then once again, the lifestyle habits. Understand where you can cut it back. Write it down and follow it. The visual brings it to life. And you know what the rule of thumb is, right? You can never spend more than what you got coming in. One of those truisms, okay, that you have to follow. Any questions on that so far? Anybody give me an example of something that they have in place that helps them through this process that really works for you? Anybody? You get rewards. I do the same thing. So I get those rewards. Great. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, this individual said PNC Virtual Wallet, which works really good, really well. Financial institutions have come a long way, by the way, with those budget tools that they have. That's a good one. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes. Fantastic. Every dollar app. Everybody hear that? Okay. Thank you for that. Over here. Fantastic. Well, it sounds like a lot of you are ahead of the game. Okay. The one thing that's the wild card, you mentioned it, emergencies, right? And what's the biggest emergency expense that usually comes up? Car repair, no question. That's why I love that Volkswagen. Right? But you know that's the one that you don't see coming, right? I did a presentation for seniors. It was how to manage your money as a senior. And the biggest wild card for seniors is what? What do you think it is? Health. Health is the wild card. Okay? I had a scare 2 years ago. Didn't see it coming. Boom. New perspective. More money going towards retirement. Because the priorities got different real quick. Okay? But it's those things that throw you into the turmoil. But if you've got money saved up, it lessens the pain. So you don't have to go out and take a loan to fix the car or borrow money to fix the car from somebody. Okay? You've already got it. So that's why it's important to make that a priority in your budget. Now, I included it as an attachment, and Josh got it. Yes? The question is leasing a good option to get away from car repairs? Depending on what your contract that you sign and what they include could be, because sometimes they include free oil changes and regular maintenance things that are free. Actually, leasing car payments are a lot less than buying a car as well, but what's the caveat? You never own it, right? So you're basically renting the car for a 3-year period, in most cases. But a lot of people do this now to save money. So, as long as you don't have to drive a lot, because there's limitations on the mileage. So you have to watch what your lease agreement says. But that's a good question. It could work out for you. That could be something you could take a look at to make negotiable. I'm looking at leasing. I've always bought cars, but I'm looking at leasing right now just to keep my car payment low. Okay? Because that wild card for me is the 2003 Volkswagen Passat. It's a wild card. So those things that you do and using those tools help you work towards your financial goal. Okay? But the emergencies are the wild card, and health is a wild card. Okay? There's the goals and dreams with deadlines. They give you an example of goals. Short-term goal, emergency savings. Put a deadline to it. How much is it going to cost you? These are all in your handouts that you have. Midterm goal, a little bit longer, 1 to 5 years. Could be buying a car, could be saving for a vacation. Okay? And then you have your long-term goals that you save for retirement, purchasing a home, down payment on a home, whatever the case may be. But you have to do the math in order to make it work. It's just not going to happen. Okay? You have to work at it to make it happen. So it gives you some examples of how to set those deadlines. And we have things called a fritter finder. That's just a ledger that you write down expenses like in a day, and then you add it up at the end of the week, the little things you spend money on. We'll give you some examples there: lunch at work, afternoon snack, gas. You know, in the short period of time there, you spent what, $30? Is that right? No, more than that, 40, over 40. Okay? So if you do this on a daily basis, and you wouldn't get the gas on a daily basis, but if you do those little things, you know, you're probably spending $100 a week just on extras, incidentals. Okay? This form you do have is an attachment. I provided this to Josh. So if you don't have something in place, like you talked about, with a PNC virtual wallet, we've provided this form as something you can write down in black and white. We've included just about every expense on here. The one thing I do not like about this form is where savings. I can tell you where it's at. It's at the bottom of miscellaneous expenses. You're never going to be successful putting it there. It has to go up by housing. You see how we have these listed by priority? Got to keep a roof over your head. Roof over your head's no good unless you got the lights on, right? So utilities are included in your housing expense. Okay? And then car, transportation, and food in that order, but savings really has to be at the top. Because if you don't do it off the top, it never gets done. If you wait till money's left over, what happens? You always find something to spend the money on, right? So you never get to the savings. It has to be a priority right off the top. If you can't do 10%, try 5%, whatever your income is. But set a routine to make it work. I wish the Fed wouldn't lower the interest rates anymore, because I want to see the savings accounts interest rates go up. I mean, they've been pretty much nothing. So I get certificates of deposit. You know, I'll just roll over CDs all the time, because I got one for 3% at a credit union recently, which is great. Minimum $500. That ain't bad. But you know, you got to keep it in there for 2 years, okay? But after 2 years, hopefully the interest rates will be even higher. I don't know if that's going to happen. But I just keep rolling it over. That's a forced form of savings. But you can use this to get started if you don't have anything in place right now. And once again, concentrate on those negotiable expenses. Every expense negotiable. I got to tell you, my niece tells me, she's laughing at me every year, when are you going to get rid of cable? I stream everything. I stream Netflix, Hulu. Doesn't cost me much. Doesn't cost me barely anything. Just have online. I said, well, I'm going to negotiate with the cable company again, see if I can keep my price low. Every year I got to do that with them. Okay? And now I'm getting less channels because I refuse to pay what they're asking for in their full complement of channels. And I don't watch but 10 of them anyway, at the most. I probably watch 5. But Squiggly's got to have her other 5. So she's got to have her 5. So we got our 10. But you know what? I'm just about ready to cut the cord. I mean, because that's an expense I'm looking at, and I'm saying, I probably don't need this. Or I can go another route. DirecTV is the same way. They're just as bad. Okay? But that's one of those expenses you can take a look at as well. Cell phones, another one. Okay? I got a real cheap cell phone plan because I'm a rectangle. And so, you know, I get the bare minimum. Of course, my wife, there's that new iPhone coming out. Whatever. Don't need it. Right? Okay. This is a cash flow worksheet, too, is another tool that you can use. List your income and expenses. They're all listed down the side. Just another way to look at it. On this one, you use the date due and when it gets paid in order to track. Make sure things aren't getting paid late. By the way, those of you who have debit card accounts, you have that overdraft protection. You know how much was paid in overdraft fees in this country last year? How much you think? A few million? $28 billion to the financial institutions. Well, now you know why they got big buildings in downtowns, right? But that's just because we're lousy bookkeepers, okay? And that's money we can't afford to be handing over. All right? If you're not a good bookkeeper, you got overdraft protection, you've been hit with that $30 fee. Is it still $30? Or is it higher sometimes? Free at the credit union if you overdraft. Okay, so it just transfers. Okay, so you eventually pay it, but no fee. Yeah, okay. Other financial institutions do have fees. I think it's still $30, and it's $7 a day while you're in the red. I mean, that's ridiculous. Okay? All right. So you take a snapshot of your monthly expenses and what's missing. Take a look at your priorities first. And you really need to focus in on the fixed expenses because they're not going to change. But then you make all the other expenses negotiable. This shows you how to budget for periodic expenses like we talked about. It's going to be a big wedding year this year. I got 3 weddings I got invited to, so I know I got a plan for the weddings. Okay, and the wedding gifts. So start that planning process right now. Okay, how am I going to divide that up, and how much is it going to cost me per month in order so I have money available? I still use, they used to call them Christmas clubs. They're just regular savings accounts now that you can open for a specific purpose, but I still use those to pay for the holidays. So I set money aside every week, or every 2 weeks, to have money for the holidays. When I get that check at the end of October, beginning of November, that's all we have to spend. And the holidays are taken care of. So I'm not moving stuff around, to buy extra gifts, whatever the case may be. Okay? But this just gives you an idea what you can do in order to budget for the irregular expenses. All right, so when it doesn't balance, only 2 ways to take care of this, right? Either increase our income, that's why I grabbed another job for 5 years, all right? Or we decrease expenses. Out of those 2, which one's easier to do? I agree. That work at 2 jobs. Here's how to get a big fat raise, right? Increase your income. That doesn't happen in the nonprofit world either too much. But anyway, increasing income is difficult. Okay? Decreasing expenses is a lot easier. That's where you do the hard work and see what you can get to. And see what you can do without. And in some cases, you get healthier. Because you're not buying lunches at Wendy's anymore. Okay? So, these are ways to manage your expenses and increase income. That number 2, using community resources. There's a lot of community resources people don't know about. 211 has a great listing of community resources. They're available to maybe help you offset food expenses. There's one that I use up in Northeast Ohio called kingsfood.org. Anybody ever hear of that one? Nope. Have you heard of Angel Food Ministries? Nope. Okay. These are where you buy boxes of food. This kind of helped me with my $100 a month in groceries. All right? 13 days worth of food for like $40. Okay? You pick your food up at a local church. But the more people participate, it's not income eligible. It's not an income eligible program. Anybody can participate. The more people participate, the more food they can buy and keep the price down. Okay? It's a way to take a look at your grocery expense and say, wow, that's maybe something I'll look into to save on money. Okay? But there are things out there like that 211 has available with community resources. Other things like that, to sell stuff you have laying around the house. I sold a G.I. Joe doll. It's like a Ken doll from when I was a kid. Had a dog tag you pulled, and he said things like, enemy fire, hit the dirt. He had a beard, okay? How much do you think I got for that doll? It was not in the package. $375 for that doll. I just threw it out there on the net. $375. Who would have thought, right? So, I mean, some of you folks probably do eBay and that type of thing, okay? But just keep that in mind because that's where you can raise income as well. Also, I think everybody uses direct deposit. Watch ATM fees as well. That's another killer, okay? So somebody mentioned they had PNC Bank. If you go to a Huntington kiosk and you have a PNC Bank card, you may get charged for using a different kiosk with ATM fees. All those little things add up, right? So you have to watch that because we can't afford to lose that kind of money. And then, once again, take lunch to work instead of eating out. Shop around to get the best deal. That's my wife and I just did that with our new washer. Paid cash for it. Saved up the money. LG. She loves those LGs. Expensive, but they're nice. And pay your bills on time to avoid the fees. That's another money drain as well. Okay, so savings, top of the spending plan. The key to reaching your goals. Protects you from things you can't control in life as emergencies. Protect your credit because you don't have to go out and open credit, right? And that leads to a better credit score. And a better credit score means what? You pay less for your money, right, that you borrow. Okay? Not only that, but other entities look at credit scores too. Automobile insurance companies use it to determine risk. So if your score is low, your premium might be a little bit higher to pay for that. Cell phone companies look at credit scores and making determinations of what kind of cell phone plan you're going to get. So there's a lot of different entities that look at it. 75% of employers using credit reports now, engaging risk of an individual. Okay? So we want it to be the best it can be. And you're more likely to grow when you pay yourself. So just some different ways that you can save. A lot of people do saving your change. Every month they just throw the money in the jar. Any change that they get, they use cash. If you don't use cash and use debit cards, it's probably not a method that you could use. Save your next pay increase. Act like you didn't get one and just put it right towards savings. And really the best way to start a nice savings account, tax return time. You get a big chunk of money and you don't have enough in savings that you feel comfortable with and you're working towards that 3 months worth of living expenses, then that's where you put a big chunk of your money in. And with that, you have your own action plan you can develop. I will now take questions, if you have any.
I have a question about some disagreement about mortgage or no mortgage. So
Okay.
my husband says, let the bank use the bank's money. Take a 30-year loan, use the bank's money. I like the 15-year, pay it off quicker. He says, but the interest rates are so low, you might as well take advantage of it.
Actually, to answer your question, and the question was, is it better to stretch out your mortgage loan because the interest rates are nice and low, or pay it off sooner? Actually, interest rates on 15-year loans are lower than they are on 30-year. Okay? So if your husband was saying, well, I think the benefit is a lower interest rate, well, interest rate's lower on a 15-year loan than it is on a 30-year. So you save a lot more money. I'll just share this with you. I'm a firm believer in paying off the mortgage as soon as possible because of the money that you pay back, okay? It is a low interest rate. As long as you got a great credit score, your rate's going to be low, okay? But at the same time, you could have that money working towards your financial goal, house is paid, and you have an option. I have 2 daughters. You know how much the average cost of a wedding is now? Anybody know? Average cost. $28,000. That's the average cost. Okay, so I have 2 daughters. One now has somebody she likes. The other one, I'm not paying for that wedding if she continues to go through with this relationship. Okay, I told them that. So I have savings in my house that I can fall back on to borrow for that wedding if I need it because the house is paid off. So that's the way I look at it. So I took my 25-year mortgage and refinanced it down to 15 years and got it paid off sooner.
So his other idea is, you get the 30, you can pay extra every month on your mortgage.
You can.
If you want, but then if you ever have an emergency, you just don't pay that extra.
You make the minimum payment, right? Keep the payment lower. Certainly, and that's a strategy that can be used. Actually, if you pay one extra mortgage payment on a 30-year mortgage every year, you'll have it paid off for 23 years. So that's another strategy that people will use. I'm not going to disagree with your husband. He's got some great points. I just look at it a little differently. Right. All right, anybody else?
I got time for one more Going once,
Okay.
twice. All right.
I just wanted to let you know that there are surveys that I would like you to complete that were left on the chairs. Those I have to have for Impact. I also want to mention Impact Services. Your EAP are the many services that they do offer are listed right there, and they're also in your, that was provided in your presentation packet. Free and confidential assistance for not only you, but also your children, parents, and relatives. Okay? So great services that are available through them, and then this is your contact information for Impact as well.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
Like Victor said, if you guys can at least fill out the Impact Solutions one, usually Buckeye Wellness has one as well. We can take care of that later. Yeah. Yep. If you want to go over, if you want to give them to Nicole, she's coming over now. Greatly appreciate it. Well, our next one is September 27th on low back pain. We'll be here at Ross Hart, so look out for that information. Thanks for coming.